You get stale.
Popcorn?
Popcorn.
Popcorn.
Popcorn? You forget about things like stale.
Popcorn.
Popcorn, stale popcorn.
Popcorn.
This is the
Stale.
Popcorn.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Stale Popcorn Podcast. I'm your host, Steven, and with me as always is my co-host, Christopher. Chris, how's life?
Life is good, Steve. How was your life?
Pretty good. I will not complain, because I got a good life, and I like the life I live. By the way, there's timestamps below if anyone wants to skip around and have a good old jaunt while we're talking about various things. But we got quite a show for you. I'm excited to jump into a couple of things here. We got some good old movie news that we're going to be diving into, and then we're going to be talking about one really good thing, and then one maybe not so good thing. We'll see. Stick around later.
So we're talking about two things.
Two main things, sure.
Okay.
But Chris, starting off, I wanted to share a funny little thing that happened to me this week. Because, as you know, Rings of Power Season 2 is out, and we did a video on it.
Yes.
Just to get some traction, you know, I posted it on some Facebook groups, had some discussions with it.
I can't wait to hear this.
And all I said was I just said, I don't think it's the complete abomination that everyone says it is, right? Because there's some good things in there, right? And so I made the mistake of posting on a certain Facebook group, and this one guy said, quote, "The only reasons you could not see this as a complete abomination are the following. A, you have the standards of a 1930s Soviet agricultural manager in Ukraine, and B, you know jack crap about Tolkien and his works." And I was like, okay, sure. And so I wrote back, I said, I don't see it as a complete abomination because I generally don't like to crap on people who put hard work into it. I'm not talking about the writers because they suck, but I'm talking about the visual effects artists, costume designers, etc., the people who never get any recognition. I think they did a good job, even if the writing and story are not up to Tolkien standards. Right? So pretty just normal one. And then he came back at me with this banger, hard to argue argument. So here we go. Putting hard work into a turd does not change the fact that it's still a turd. We don't congratulate, appreciate, and recognize people whose efforts amount to F all or worse. You think those Soviet agricultural managers didn't work hard confiscating all the grain from all those poor Ukrainian peasants and leaving them to starve to death in the millions? That was quite an impressive feat. Yet we don't celebrate or appreciate it because not all hard work is created equal. A child understands this.
Wow.
And Chris,
is this guy like a 100-year-old Ukrainian farmer or something?
I guess, yeah. I mean, at that point, my tail was tucked between my legs, and I said, goodness, how can you argue that? He had a point.
Yeah, I know. He definitely bested you.
Yeah, for surezies. But I thought that's the kind of stuff the internet is like, and I just thought it was really funny to share with you. So
you went on Facebook, you go to your friend J.K. or J.R. Tolkien's great-great-grandson or something and talk to him? Or what type of group are you talking to here?
It's a YouTuber fan group. They have their strong opinions about Lord of the Rings and the Rings of Power. Better left undiscussed with those folks, if you ask me. Because I'm a positive guy. I'm just like you, Chris. I'm trying to be
I don't
positive.
believe that.
Well, Chris, you got some movie news for me?
WB. You know what that stands for?
Warner Brothers?
Animation reportedly has a huge plan for Looney Tunes that will begin to roll out in 2028.
For all the 4 people clamoring for Looney Tunes to come back. We got it, buddy. We signed the petitions. We're back.
What are they? I guess they were in Space Jam 2 whenever that came out a couple of years back. But
yeah.
From all my understanding of the youths these days, they're like, I don't know who any of these people are. Like, you got to get me Peppa Pig, some Little Einstein, give me some Bluey.
Bluey. Yeah.
But none of these, so we'll see. Maybe they're coming back. Who knows? Knives Out 3.
Ooh.
Reportedly has a budget of $210 million.
Why so much money, Christopher?
Do you want to know what the budget for the first one was?
Probably like 40 or 50.
It was 40. I think Ryan Johnson's really just finessing Netflix here and oh yeah, it totally takes me 200 mil to make these, but
goodness.
I mean, I always like the movies. Sir Ian McKellen
Old
says
Gandalf the Grey.
He will continue acting as long as the legs, the lungs, and the mind keep working. quote, I'm not letting anyone else put on that pointy hat and beard if I can help it.
Listen, it's very commendable. If he wants to do it, that's great. But how old is he now? He's up there in age, isn't he?
Didn't he fall down? And they're like, oh, this might be it for him. Like, yeah, I feel like when you're that old, or when they're saying that, maybe it is. But hey, maybe commendable.
Yeah. But then again, I don't think I could see anyone, if they do Hunt for Gollum with anyone else, I don't think anyone else could do it.
No one else can.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, remember him?
Oh, yes.
Joker?
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, a couple weeks back, he was supposed to be in that real exotic gay lover run to Mexico. You know, the
actor-defining role, yeah.
Yeah, just something you do on a Tuesday, if you will. But
yeah.
He turned it down 5 days before, and basically they had to shut down the movie. Cost him millions of dollars. So someone asked him about it. They asked why he abruptly left Todd Haynes' next film only 5 days before filming began. And he said, quote, it would just be sharing my opinion, and the other creatives aren't here to share their piece. It doesn't feel like that would be right. I don't think that would be helpful, so I don't think I will. Thank you. I think I found the new way whenever someone asks me a question. Oh, the other person's not here, so I wouldn't be fair to them to answer that.
Yeah. What a great politics answer.
Just imagine like you're on trial for murder and they're like, did you kill that person? Oh, well, he's not here. And, it wouldn't be fair if I spoke without him. So I think I'm going to use that, Joaquin. All right. Now you ready for this?
Yes.
Joker 2 received an 11-minute standing ovation at the Venice Film Festival.
So is that the longest standing ovation we've reported on?
I don't know.
Last one was 7, I think.
I'm going to do a quick Google. How long is a good standing ovation for a movie?
It's fascinating to me, man. It just instills in my mind that these people are not regular human beings. Maybe they have to stand because their boss is standing next to them. But it's like, if anyone else stood for 11 minutes in the theater clapping, I'd be like, are you okay? Do you need help, or have you lost your way, friend?
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a pre-planned, like as they're watching the movie, they're like, all right, I'll add a minute for that. Oh, I didn't like, we're taking off 30 seconds for that. And they kind of, it's like watching a boxing match. Like they have their scorecard and they're like, all right, now
they got a showgirl down at the bottom holding up the number 11. This is the number of minutes to stand, fellas.
Well, I just did a quick Google, and the first thing is from LA Times. 10 to 12 minutes is an impressive amount of time to spend standing and clapping after watching a movie. So it's an impressive amount.
I'm not even standing for 10 minutes regularly for a movie. Goodness.
Yeah, and then just doing some more Googling here on Reddit. The films that are crap still get 12-minute ovations. Sometimes it's crazy. I remember seeing, I guess I didn't take a screenshot, but some movie got 3 minutes and someone like quote tweeted it and was like, that means this movie's terrible. It only got 3 minutes. But I'm just imagining like watching a terrible movie like Borderlands, but still having to stand up and clap for 3 minutes. I'm just like, maybe we'll do a deep dive in the standing ovation.
The psychology behind standing ovations.
I know. I want to just see one of these and just like, this can't be. There's no way the whole theater is standing for 11 minutes.
And I guess to have some audience participation, we're going to have a 10-minute moment of silence right here on the podcast where you can stand for us. So here we go. 10 minutes starting now.
Go.
I can't do it. That's lame.
Maybe if we get 1,000, when we get 1,000 subs, we'll do a 10-minute stand clap.
Just us two.
Clap and see if we can do it. Oh gosh, this is.
Thank you.
My hands would be falling off. Yeah, should we try that? If we get 1,000, a 10-minute standing, and I'm sure we're probably going to forget about it by then. So. If,
in the comments, remind us.
Yeah, if you remind. Also, speaking of that, a listener of the podcast actually reminded me it was Sam Yule. But back on, it was like the Super Bowl trailers, and we were talking about the trailer for Deadpool. It was like the first trailer of Deadpool and Wolverine. You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
That episode we did?
Yep.
And I called out that Chris Evans' Human Torch was going to be in it. Like, I just straight out called it nonchalantly, and he listened to it after seeing the movie, and he's like, what? How did he do that? And
that's true. I saw him last week, and he did mention that. So good on you, Chris, for remembering.
I didn't remember. I was just as shocked when he said it. Oh, wow, I did that. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe it'll be one of those type of things. Ocean's 14? Are you a fan of the oceans?
I watched the Ocean's 11
Atlantic.
Not too long ago.
Arctic?
And I like the first one.
Baltic?
Huh?
Is there a Baltic Ocean?
Baltic Ocean? That sounds familiar.
How many oceans are there?
Oh, probably like 7 at least. The 7 seas. Pirates claim the 7 seas.
Pacific, Atlantic.
Indian.
I swear there's a Baltic, but maybe I'm crazy. All right, let me know I'm going to look like an idiot here, but you said you're a fan. I kind of toned. I'll be honest. You
really got segued there, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about oceans here. Sorry, you go ahead.
I like the Oceans movies. I remember the first one I showed my wife because she liked heist movies, and she's like, this is pretty good.
The first one, you mean Ocean's 8, I assume?
You stop that right now.
What?
No, Ocean's 11.
Yeah, I've only seen 8 and 11, and I mean, controversial opinion, but I think I liked 11 better.
Not controversial in the slightest.
Or even opinion, I guess, but...
Yeah, that's just a fact.
Yeah, I like the heists, but I still need to watch 12, 13, but it's going to have Ocean's 14's in the works.
Ooh.
George Clooney, Brad Pitt will reprise their roles. Edgar Berger, the director of All Quiet on the Western Front. You see that?
No.
It's a war movie. It's quite the crossover, but it's a good film. I recommend. But he's set to direct.
He couldn't get Steven Soderbergh back?
I guess not.
He's really makes those movies, man. I tell you, Logan Lucky. You ever see Logan Lucky?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
What else he done?
Just those two.
Another do you do Tower Heist?
Probably.
What other heists? The Town? You see, that's kind of a heist.
There are, I think, 2 members of the Ocean's family that are deceased, 2 actors. So how are they going to play that out?
Bernie and...
I can't remember his... I think it's Saul. Do you remember the old guy, Saul?
No, I
don't know his name. Hold on, let me look it up.
Saul. Are you saying Saul Goodman?
No,
Saul
Ocean's
Goodman.
11 cast.
Oh, are you saying the dad from Friends? Or Monica's dad?
Yeah. No. Is he dead too?
Isn't he in that movie?
Oh, Elliot Gould. Yeah, that's the dad from Friends.
He's dead.
Is he? Goodness, I don't know.
No,
he's still alive.
Spreading misinformation here, Steve.
I think the one who is passed, Carl Rainier. Remember, he played the guy in the first one with the briefcase? He's like, please, Mr. Zerga, I am very old and tired.
No, I don't, actually.
Well, the listeners know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right, sure. We'll just... however are they going to replace him?
Well, if Alien Romulus has taught us anything, they'll bring him right back with
That's true.
CGI.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
Who is going to be the 14th member?
Oh, do they add one each one? Gang? Is that how it works?
I think they add each one.
So
like a new member.
They only have 8?
Yeah.
Ooh, who's going to be well, they got to add 3 more then, I assume, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to replace the 2.
Here we go. You go what's been working these last few years. So you bring in bloody Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Dwayne Johnson. You make it a great, Jumanji spinoff, Jumanji crossover. That's what this franchise
Get the director of
needs.
Rampage to come in here and really throw a wrench here. I think you're onto something here. The big 3.
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola, Megalopolis.
Yes.
Is tracking to open with $5 million domestically. Budget was $120 million.
Ooh,
I can't wait.
When does that come out?
I think it's like in a couple weeks.
Megalopolis comes out September 27th.
Hey,
so we have 20 days.
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. So far on the Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 54% out of 69 reviews. That's not terrible, which I'm a little sad. I was hoping it'd be like a 5% or like 100%. Give me
one or the other.
One or the other. Don't give me a middling.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I guess it's 2 hours 18. But that's all the announcements I got, Steve. What about you? You got anything?
Yes, Christopher, I got some huge movie news. One of the most influential and best trailers dropped this week in the form of Minecraft.
Ooh.
Did you see that trailer?
No, I didn't. I want me to watch it.
Sure. Well, through the power of editing, Chris just watched the trailer, and I got to tell you, I was looking at his face, and it just looked exactly like that gif from Homelander, just staring off into nothing, soul empty, lifeless eyes. And then towards the end, I saw your eyes kind of squint a little bit out of just pure disgust. So your face painted a picture that was more clear to me than the noonday sun. And let's just say this is quite the miscalculation in terms of the direction of this movie, I'll say.
Well, let me be fair. I don't think they're making it for 30-year-old boys here.
Well, we're young men, Christopher.
All right, sorry.
But I have it on good authority. My brother-in-law, he is ripe old age, perfect target audience. He plays Minecraft all day, every day. Like, he knows what's up. And I said, hey, what do you think of this movie? And he looks up from his phone and he said, this is the worst thing. He's like, this just looks so stupid. And all of his little buddies at school, they talk about is how terrible it looks. So they don't even got their target audience.
Eesh.
But it looks horrible. People all over the internet, they're hemming, they're hawing. I guess they took a page out of Borderlands movie's book where they said, hey, let's take something that was popular 10 years ago and ruin it for everyone. So yeah, it just looks bad in terms of also the CG, everything. There was a guy on Instagram, it's just him with a folded green screen. He said, my folded green screen in an hour looks better than this Minecraft movie, and it did look better. So there's there's just nothing but negatives for this movie, and I can't wait to see it, to be honest, because the worse the movie is, the better off we are, Christopher, for our audience, so we can crap on things.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know what's going on with Momoa here. I feel like he's going through a weird phase, if you ask me.
He's got the Zachary Levi trajectory going. Do we need to do a wellness check on Jason Momoa? Make sure everything's okay with him?
Maybe, yeah.
We have a recurring segment called Glenn's Corner. You got some Glenn's Corner news for us?
Oh, let me see here.
Glenn's Corner, where I'm sitting in the corner looking at nothing but a picture of Glenn.
Wow, that's good. You gonna record a song for it and we can play it?
Yeah, that'll be our recurring segment of Glenn's Corner. Little intro song.
I like that. Well, here's one from an unnamed Hollywood producer says Glenn Powell is the biggest up-and-coming movie star, quote, in the sense that audience now go to movies to see him. Unlike an actor like Ryan Gosling, whose appeal is mostly limited to female audiences, Glenn appeals to both females and males. So first of all, do you agree with that segment or that statement?
That movies appeal, or that Ryan Gosling appeals to both?
No, they're saying Ryan's only for the chicks and Glenn's for both.
Heavens, no.
Yeah, I disagree completely. I'm like, unless you call me a chick then, because I'm a big goose lover.
Oh, yeah. My holy trinity is Henry Cavill, the Goose, and Glenn.
Ooh.
Those are my top three that get my butts in seats, if you know what I mean.
I'm not as high on Cav, but get me on Goose,
Powell,
and Samuel Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell?
Yeah.
I get that. I'll give you that one. I think he's a good time whenever he's on screen.
Yeah. That's my
Great
top
in Argyle. But he was in Seven Psychopaths, Bloody Galaxy Quest, bangers, man, all of them.
The Three Billboards. He's the only actor that can make you root for like a racist cop. You're like, wow.
And that's acting there.
That's good acting.
Good on you.
So we disagree with this. Mm-hmm. Glenn, he responds and he says, Gosling is a legend. I'm just Glenn.
Oh.
I know. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. So, good on you, Glenn. I can't wait to talk about you next week.
Well, do you have any other news, Christopher?
No other news for me, Steve.
We thought it'd be prudent, since everyone's on this Rings of Power train. We're trying to hop on that sweet, sweet SEO, you know what I'm saying? We thought we'd do just like a quick weekly recap of episode by episode. And so, Chris, what do you think of this week's episode of the Rings of Power?
I think I was a little harsh. I think it's really hard to get through multiple episodes in one sitting. But if it's like you give me a week to breathe, calm down, like I could get through an episode of this. And I thought it was fine. It was better than the first three, if you ask me. But I don't know if that's just because, all right, I only had to watch 1 hour versus sitting through like 3 hours straight. I can't stand Glad. I mean, it's probably going to be every week. I'm like, something she did that really grinded my gears is she's talking to Elrond and she's like, what, you don't trust me? And I'm like, yeah, of course he wouldn't.
Yeah, of course he doesn't.
Brought the Dark Lord in 5 minutes ago. She's like, whoa, you know. And then also you're still wearing the rings that he made. Like, use some common sense here. Like, if some guy came in and made a bunch of, I don't know, brownies that you know is your villain, he's like offering you brownies. What do you go? Oh, let me eat this. That's the only way we can stop him. Like, what are you talking about here?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I thought it was kind of fun seeing Tommy Bombadil. Tom Bombadil is that his name?
Tom Bombadil, yes.
I remember hearing about him in the books, you know?
The only thing with that one, I think it's good. It's fun to have some long levity in there. But all I could see with that actor is the Prime Minister in Black Mirror.
Is it
like
him?
This guy and the pig. That's all you need to know. He's the pig guy, and that's all I could see.
Yeah.
What a defining role for him.
I was thinking the same. Like, I was watching a movie on Netflix called Bank of Dave. You see that? It's not that. It's a pretty good movie, but I put it on, and my wife, she walked in, she was like, is that the guy that F the pig? And I was like, oh, it is, huh? Yeah. And then it's just like, oh, yeah, that's all you think about. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, I guess I didn't recognize, but hey,
I'll
Tom
ruin it for you next episode.
He's an animal lover, ain't he? He's big into nature. So, I mean, it's on brand.
Yeah. You know, I like when our views are opposing, Christopher. Because I was very positive in the first 3 episodes. I was like, I'm optimistic. Let's see where this goes. But I was pretty clear that I was pretty only interested in one storyline, and that's the Sauron-Celebrimbor. And guess what? None to be had in this episode.
It's true.
And so if I could describe this in like a dish, this was like a soup sandwich for me. Insofar as if somebody put this soup sandwich in front of me, I would be like, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? Am I supposed to eat it? Probably not, right? I just thought it dragged much longer than it needed to be. Harfoots couldn't care less. Just when I thought I couldn't care less about the Harfoots, they split them up from the wizard and they got in a whole nother thing, and there's a whole nother little love plot there, and I was like, bloody no thank you. Not for me. The Barrow Whites were pretty cool. Did you see the little ghosts that they fought?
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty fun. Yeah, those were pretty cool. I like the looks of them and everything. But those elves, real thick, man, because like you see them popping up, and they try to kill him with their weapons, and I'm like, surely ye jest, because they're ghosts. Like, I've never even seen these things before, but I know that you can't kill them with just your swords. And then Elrond, the little book nerd's like, you gotta destroy them with the swords that they were killed with. It just so happens that they're buried right next to them. Good thing we have them right here. Yeah, most of the episode, I was just like very bored. Isildur couldn't care less, trying to find some kid that nobody cares about. This one was a rough watch for me because I was super bored all the way through. That's all.
Maybe it's just because I was in so low expectations. You probably had a little higher. And
I did, yeah. I was like, I'm excited to see where this goes. And then I was like, I don't like where this is going.
I just felt like, oh, this wasn't unbearable to me. So in that mind, I'm like, this was fine.
It wasn't completely unbearable, but I definitely was like on Instagram in the background, like one eye skewed to the left watching, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, sure.
I was bored. Chris, did you watch anything else this week?
I did watch a film, Steve.
Oh, what'd you watch?
Tell me you've seen this trailer. It's about this Amazon, Alexa, Siri, Echo, whatever. They put it in the house and it helps them out. But then it turns out that the AI is a little too smart for their britches, and it kind of takes over the house. This reminds you of
Chris, you're effectively describing the 2002 hit Smart House, a Disney Channel original movie.
It's exactly it. They made a remake. Now,
did they really? Like,
it's called Afraid.
Okay.
It's got the dad from Searching. Have you seen that?
Okay.
That's a good flick.
Yeah, I like that movie.
I think it's Renee from Twilight, the mom. What's the mom's name? Esme or something? Or something.
You're mixing up the daughter's name, which is Renesmee.
Well, it's one of them.
So close. You got something in there.
She's there. It's basically like, it's Smart House, but spooky. And it was not great, but it was only an hour 20.
Very good.
I'd give out like a 2.5. It's kind of like your standard, the boy, the forest, whatever your...
Bye-bye, man.
Bye-bye, man. Yeah, it's basically one of those where I'm like, it had a lot of cheap jump scares, which I did jump. It's been a while since I've been in a jump scare film, but yeah, I saw that. I definitely would not recommend paying to see it. But if it's on a Netflix or something, it's only an hour 20, so it's not the worst. But how about you, Steve? You watch anything else?
No, I didn't really have time to, Christopher.
Ooh.
Not this week.
Wow.
But
quit bragging.
with that being said, do you want to just dive in head first into the main course of this episode? We're going to be talking about Rebel Ridge, Netflix original movie. Now, Chris, when we were trying to decide what we wanted to watch, you came to me and said, let's watch this Rebel Ridge because it looks real good. And I had known nothing about it. And so I think you secretly thought this was a sequel to Rebel Moon Part 2, and you were hoping, you were itching, you were just eager to jump back into the world of Zack Snyder.
I was.
Were you disappointed?
I know. I was like, where's... I honestly can't remember. I can't name a single character. Who is? I can't remember a single character from
Demarius.
Who's that? Is that the villain?
I don't know.
I can't even. What's the Rebel Moon girl's name?
Jimmy the robot.
Is that Anthony Hopkins' name's Jimmy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the director, Jeremy Sondier or something. I think.
What has he done?
He's done hit films such as Green Room. You see that?
No.
Oh, it's real good. It's a real thriller. It's got Patrick Stewart. He plays a neo-Nazi, and it's got...
Is that Harry Potter neo-Nazi movie, or no? Am I thinking of something else?
No, I think you're thinking of something else. It might be the most stressful movie I ever seen. It really gets your heart pounding. Yeah, that one's real exciting. If you get anxious... You seen Uncut Gems before?
Yes.
Where it's
goodness,
that
the most stressful movie
stressed.
of all time. Yeah.
This, I think, is times a couple there. I like this one.
As in the Green Room?
Yeah, I like this one. It's like, this is like a 4.5 for me. It's got, that guy from Star Trek? I could do that. Victor, I could do that.
Oh, yeah.
He's in it. Joe Cole, if you remember him from Prayer Before Dawn.
He goes by J. Cole now.
Oh, yeah. Got the girl from Arrested Development, the cousin.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it's got a good cast, but that one's really good. He also did a movie called Blue Ruin, which was his first, I think, before, like his first big film. That one's really good. And then he did one on Netflix a couple of years back called Hold the Dark. And it's got, what's that like black scientist guy? He's a scientist in every movie. You know who I'm speaking? Bernard from Westworld.
Oh,
the scientist from Hunger Games.
He's the Commissioner Gordon in the new Batman.
Yeah.
Real scientist in that movie.
Very scientisty. What is his name?
Jeff Wright?
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in it, and it's got one of them, Skarsgård. That one's not as good. That was his last movie, but it does have a great... I would recommend watching the action scene. If you just probably Google Hold the Dark shooting scene. It's kind of like, you ever see Wind River?
Yeah.
You remember in that where it just like goes 0 to 100 real quick?
Yeah.
It's got one of those scenes where I'm like, it's like a good 10-minute, like, you can't do better action than that. That one, I didn't really like that movie too much. It was fine, like a 3 or something, but...
So, short story long, you like the director.
I like the director is what I'm trying to say. Cool. I recommend 2 of the 3 films is what I'm saying. Go, if you like action, thriller, kind of intense movies, Blue Ruin, Green Room, great films.
Gotcha.
So this one, I'll Google the director every couple months. I'm like, is he getting another movie here? Because I'm excited. I like the guy.
Yeah.
And I remember Googling this a couple of years back, and it's, do you know who was supposed to be in it?
Dwayne Johnson.
Boyega. John
Boyega.
He was supposed to be in it.
Interesting. I don't know if that would have worked, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this guy would probably have been better. But so Boyega, back in 2019, he signed on. So they started filming April 2020, which is obviously when COVID happened. So they shut it down. And then a year later, they start filming again in May 2021. And like after a month of filming, Boyega drops out. So they have to postpone it again. And another year, and then they replaced Boyega, and then they also replaced whoever AnnaSophia Robb hopped on, and I guess I don't know who the person they replaced, or who she replaced, but it took a long time. I mean, it took like 5 years, but finally got it out, and I liked it. I mean, call me crazy, but I'd say it's his third best film.
Yeah, Chris, if the Rings of Power episode 4 was a bloody soup sandwich, this is a full, hearty meal with steak and potatoes, cooked to perfection. And I don't know if it's because I watched that filth and then I came to here and I was like, chef's kiss. I like this movie. I liked it a lot, Christopher.
Yeah.
I'd give it like a 4.5 easy. I'm hesitant to maybe give it a 5, maybe giving spoilers, just a couple of things. But yeah, I thought this was just a great watch, great setting. If you didn't tell me that took 5 years to make, I would never have known, because it's very consistent. Looks like it was filmed all within the same time frame. Everyone's good in there. Yeah, I think it has a great protagonist. It's a very simple story, but it's very engaging and relatable, I feel, to a lot of people, where it's just you against the man, You just have that hatred for authority sometimes.
I know what you mean.
Without spoiling stuff, I would definitely recommend this. It feels kind of like a Jack Reacher-esque movie.
That's exactly what I was thinking, actually.
Like, if you like Jack Reacher and don't want to watch a whole season, I liked it a lot.
It's like some movies, they lose you in the beginning just because it takes like 10 minutes. All right, who is this guy? Why is this? This one, it starts you off and it just gets right into it where like...
Yeah.
My wife, I was like, you want to watch this? No. But she's like sitting on the couch and like, 10 minutes in, she's asked like, well, I hate these, like she's, more into it. I'd give it a 4.5, somewhere in there. I wouldn't go 5 because I do have some qualms.
Ooh.
But I really think the first act is great. And I'd say like the last 30 minutes of the movie, well, besides maybe like the very end, is like that's as good as it gets. Like, as far as like an action scene, like that's television, that's cinema right there.
Oh yeah.
And I definitely would recommend it. I mean, especially since you don't even have to go to a theater. It's on Netflix right there. But I'd say it's an action. It's not really... There's like some gore-ish. I'm trying to remember. I don't think it's nothing really that crazy. Like his other ones are definitely more like you get stabbed and you kind of get a little queasy. This one, I don't remember anything really that crazy.
Yeah. And
it's not like it's good action. I think I would have liked a little more action and a little less mystery. If you took me into it, I would say, all right, let's less more of solving the problem here and get me the action. But I'd say the best actor in this that seemed like they were kind of born to play the role was Don Johnson playing. I guess I can't say what he does, but he plays his role very well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no, Don Johnson's really good. Do you know who he is father of?
Magic Johnson?
Magic Johnson's his son. Yeah. Yeah, no, great cast. Aaron Pierre was really great as the titular Rebel Ridge.
Yeah, I'd never seen him before. I had to look him up.
Yeah, me either.
Apparently, he's going to be the voice of Mufasa.
Oh, interesting. He was in Old. Do you recognize him from the movie Old? Or I guess you've never seen Old. He was mid-sized sedan, for those who've seen that movie. And then we have AnnaSophia Robb.
Oh, yeah. Childhood crush of mine.
Back from the dead.
Yeah, I know. Good for her. Shark Tail or whatever, the arm bitten off one.
She's back from the dead and has another arm. So good for her for coming back.
Come back. Way back. Great film.
Oh, yeah. And then it also has James Cromwell, if you know who that is. That'll do, pig. That'll do.
See the guy
He's
from
the
My
judge.
Robot? Now that
Yes.
is the right question.
Yep. I think it's worth your time to watch it. It's got some great story, great action. Do you want to dive into the spoilies,
Well,
Chris?
let me ask you this, Steve. Where does this rank
Okay.
on Netflix produced films? I think it might be the best. Like, what else is
Oh,
there
yeah.
that's really...
None off the top of my dome, besides Rebel Moon,
Oh, I guess
obviously.
that's true. All right, this says the top 30, All Quiet on the Western Front. All right, that is a good movie. I'd probably still watch this. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, that was fine.
That's pretty good.
Don't Look Up, definitely better than that, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
Glass Onion, I'd say this was better than Glass Onion. I like Glass Onion,
Yeah, me too.
but you'd say this is better?
I think this is better than Glass Onion.
Hustle, I'd say it's better than Hustle. That one's pretty
Don't
good.
know what
I've
that
never
is.
seen The Irishman.
And I will not because it's like 4 hours long.
Did you ever watch The King?
No. With Timmy Shalley?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'd say it's better than most of these. I mean, all of them, honestly. Might be my favorite.
Yeah.
Should we dive into the spoils? Should we get
Chris,
into the
let's
spoils?
dive in.
All right.
So,
So the plot of the film, it starts off, and there's this guy riding a bike, and there you can see these like cop sirens behind him, but he doesn't hear it. And then that cop basically swerves him off the road. He falls down, and the cop, being a real JURK to him. All right, you ran into me. Let me look through your bag here. And he has he has 30K. And he was trying.
36K?
Was it 36?
$36,000 in cash.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fair. You're right. I do remember the math later. But he's basically trying to go to the county place and post bail for his cousin before his cousin goes to prison.
Yes.
Because he thinks his cousin's going to die in prison, like when he gets there. Do we ever figure out why?
I don't remember.
Because it makes it seem like, oh, they know who you are. I'm pretty sure he says something like that. Hey, they know who you are.
Oh, yeah,
on the part when he sees him. As far as I know, they don't really ever go cover that part. So the cops take the money. He won't be able to get the money back. He could try suing him or whatever, but it's going to take like a year and all this. And his cousins, he's got like 3 days to do this. So then he's doing all these, calling the old Chinese manager, hey, can you give me 10K? Nope. And AnnaSophia Robb hears this. She works at the old courthouse.
Something?
So she's trying to help him. But then it turns out, basically, there's all these cops are crooked and they're taking this money. His cousin actually goes to prison, gets shanked dead. So, and cops are like, hey, you can take this money and get the heck out of here. Or if you're still here tomorrow, we got problems.
Yeah.
So he takes the money and he's getting out. But then something happens with AnnaSophia Robb because she is kind of digging too. And they're kind of messing with her. So he comes back. So then the whole plot is basically like him, AnnaSophia Robb versus the cops.
They do a real Batman Robin detective situation going on.
And then it ends up with cops getting busted at the end. They make it out alive. But
yeah.
So for me, we're going cons here. I thought its first act is really good. It gets you really interested. It starts you off and you're just like, I know I hate these people already. I'm rooting for their downfall. But then in the middle where it's more like mystery was kind of a little middling for like, it was less interest. Like it still wasn't bad by any means, but it's like after they tell him to leave and they give him the money, that's probably like 45 minutes in. And then he comes back to help out AnnaSophia Robb. And I'd say like there's a good like 15, 20 minutes where I'm like, it's kind of a lull for me. I don't know, like, I'm being a little picky here, but.
No, I get that.
But then I thought the third act was really good. So.
No, I think that's a good qualm. I think it is maybe just a snake and a pig too long.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it so I didn't have to.
There, I took the bullet for you, Chris. Beginning of Act 2 is a little bit of a lull just because it's more of the mystery kind of solving whatever corruptions in the city. And I don't know, because I do have a very smooth brain. I was like, what is happening here? Like, I couldn't quite follow a little bit. Maybe that's just me. Because it goes by very fast. And I was like, all I know is that Don Johnson's corrupt, and so is Roy from The Office. He's corrupt, you know, and all this. The bad guys are corrupt. We got to bring down the bad guys. That was my level of intelligence going to this.
That was kind of it. I was like, they explain it, and I'm sure if I went back and watched it again, it probably would make sense because they do explain it. They're like, I think that they are basically arresting people, taking their money because they're running out of fund. But they have to keep them in jail for 90 days because when the cops run their sirens, it records the dash cam and it saves it for 90 days. But after 90 days, if no one like requested it, deletes. So they're like, keep them 90 days and then let them out. Yeah. So like, I get that in taking the money or whatever, but there's this whole storyline. They're like, something must have been on his cousin's camera that they really wanted to hide, but then they just like break the SD cards and then they never tell you. Like that to me, that's what's interesting. Like, oh, is there, you know, some guy humping a tree? Like what's got to be on this this video that's so incriminating that they're going through
the police chief humping a tree.
Yeah.
That's what they don't want.
They can't have this. I just wish they would have covered that. Or like I was saying earlier, like they make it seem like his cousin is like this special person, like that if he gets in prison, that once they find out who he is, they're gonna kill him, and they kill him. So like something's there, but they never
figured out what.
Yeah, tell us what. It's kind of annoying to me.
I get that.
The end is really good, like I said, 30 minutes cinema, but then it just kind of abruptly ends to me because it's like, they have this super cool, like they're shooting out at the police station. He's fighting them. They're driving away. And then it's just like the black cop lady like runs off the sheriff,
the chief. Yeah.
And then they're just driving. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're getting an escort to the like they're all like, oh, because they're getting chased by the crooked cops. Mm-hmm. And then they call it in so that other cops come, and I guess the other cops get there, and they're like, "Oh, these guys are good now." Like it just does. Like, how would they know? All right, these people are good because they just called it lucky, in as like, "Oh, these people stole this cop car, armed and dangerous," and then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, let me escort you to the hospital." And like, you'd think like once they got out of the car, you know, the hands, show me your hands. But it's just like they're, let him run in. He literally goes into the hospital, breaks the thing with the fire axe.
Grabs an axe.
Which I'm like, I guess I don't go to hospitals that often, but they normally just have like an axe by the reception desk. Is that like, I see like fire extinguishers, but I never seen an axe. Like I heard of fire axes or whatever, but also what type of hospital staff, they literally just like one person gets, I guess 2 people get rushed in and then they just kind of like, oh, freak out and it's all gone. And they just let some guy come in and break it and take an axe. But
yeah, it's a small town. They have very liberal rules with the hospitals and the axes.
That makes sense. But honestly, like these are my qualms and they're not like deal breakers for me in any ways, but they're just like some things that kind of, I wish would have been explained better or at least acknowledged. Like what in my mind, don't mention this guy being someone important if you're not gonna give us the end. Like it would have been fine if they never said that and they're just like, oh, I'm worried about my cousin in prison, but instead they make it seem like, oh, there's gonna be this big old reveal and then just no completion. A lot of foreplay, no completion.
Yeah, exactly, Christopher. I think that's a really good point. I didn't have that in my cons, but it makes sense and I totally understand where you're coming from. Besides the very cut ending where there's not really a conclusion, the only other kind of qualm I had was he's a real hand-to-hand combatant. They build him up to be like this big bad. He teaches Marines how to combat hand-to-hand. And they show it a little bit, but I just wish maybe just a smidge, just a smidge more, just to maybe like one fight scene where you're like, that's the one I'm going to watch on YouTube again. It was good, but I was just like, maybe just one. Maybe if I could just have my cake and eat it too, that would be sufficient. Again, not deal breakers because I love this one. I thought it was great. So if nothing else, another cons, do you want to talk about the
let's
cons?
Get into the pros here.
So you hit it right on the head. The beginning sucks you in. You're invested. You're immediately on this guy's side. His motives are in the right place. Immediately, the lines are drawn. You really want this guy to win, unlike a specific lady elf in another bloody TV project. But This guy, I liked him so much. He's like we said, he's a Jack Reacher-esque kind of stoic loner, and I think this guy is what every man pictures themselves as they are in their heads. Yeah, he's cool, he's calm, collected under pressure. He's bloody grabbing fish out of the river with his bare hands.
Oh yeah,
camping under the stars, shaving his face in the woods, and it's cool for him. Well, when I do it, they say I have the autism, but that's neither here nor there. But like, he's such a fun character to watch. There's a part where, like I said, he's a Marine combatant where he teaches Marines how to fight, and he's like can fight real good. That's the words I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
But there's a part where he's choking out a cop. He says, "Do you want to be asleep when I cuff you or awake?" Yeah. And I was like, that's a great line. Yeah. Like, that's fun for him to just be able to manhandle these cops. Like, that was fun to watch. He's smart, and I liked the relationship between him and AnnaSophia Robb. I like that it wasn't anything romantic, too. It's just like, we got to get this job done. Yeah. Here are our reasons. They're pure motives, and this is what we got to do. And it wasn't anything like you see nowadays where the girl's like just as capable as the man. She's very capable, but she needs him because he's got the muscle, and he needs her because she knows the system. And like, they really complement each other. I think they did that really well, that they both need each other to bring down the corruption from the roots, Christopher. And it's very enjoyable to watch. Yeah. What do you got? What you got?
I agree completely. It wasn't as intense as his other movies, but there's always kind of a thrill, like something could just randomly happen. So like, there's a scene where he's driving and he gets pulled over. I think it's the day after they told him to leave, and like cops, he's like has his hands on the steering wheel. Cops like, all right, hands 10 and 2 or whatever. And then he literally just like pulls out a gun and like tries to kill him right there. And then he fights him, and like things like that just like kind of happen. And you're like, oh wow, that was, you kind of have this thrill with you. Yeah. Obviously the best scene was he's out at the fire station, and he kind of tricks him. All right, meet me at the bridge here. And then he's like, actually, I'm going to steal all this stuff. And then they meet him back there. And he thinks the black cop lady is insider Scorpio or whatever that's helping him. But then it turns out it's Roy, because she kind of betrays him, but then switches her mind. And it's like, oh, Roy is actually like, hey, are we sure we want to? He's not armed. We can't shoot him. They're like, let's kill him right now. And then he ends up getting shot. So he's working with him. And there's like a good, 15 minutes where it's like he's pulling a reacher here, but he doesn't use the guns or anything. He just kind of shoots a bunch of smoke, and he runs up, disarms the gun, knocks him out. And it's like a bunch of this and dragging the guy, and just nice action, real intense. You don't even think about looking at your phone. Yeah. I just thought it was very good.
They have a couple dozen bloody cops outside the precinct ready to shoot at a moment's notice, and he's able to take them all down with smoke grenades and hand-to-hand combat. Bloody is a one man alone, betrayed by the country he loves, just hamming it up and just going at it. And I was like, this is great, man. Because it felt actually pretty real, too. Like, plausible. Like, as much as I love John Wick, where you're like, you have to suspend a little bit of disbelief. Yeah. But in this one, your heart's pounding because you're like, is he going to get to the car in time? Is he going to,
I know.
It's very tense because it's very realistic, I'd say.
And it's like, I thought for sure Roy was going to die. And I'm like, well, I wasn't liking him, but now I like him. I don't want him to die. Or like, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if AnnaSophia Robb die, or even him, honestly. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they die. So it kind of gives you that, like, oh, come on, man. I want you to make it out of here. Like, for sure, one of you is going to die. And luckily.
I thought we were going to have one of those moments where he's like, tell my wife I love her. He's like, you tell yourself. I think there's a lot of fun little moments in there. It doesn't play anything for laughs. Although there are a couple of funny moments, one of which I thought was the best joke was the guy goes to his Korean boss, restaurant owner. He's getting patched up because he just got shot, and AnnaSophia Robb's there. And she's like, you need to go to the hospital. And the guy's like, no, he was a combat medic in Korea. And she's like, oh, thank you for your service. And they're like, he was on the other side. So it's like, yeah, or something. But it's like it didn't need to stop and pause like Marvel movies do nowadays. There's little details that I think went a long way to create this world where this guy, he's extremely capable. When they're infiltrating the courthouse, there's like little bits that I thought were really cool, not only in terms of storytelling, but in terms of cinematography. There's a bit where you see him, the car, and the brake lights are all taped up with duct tape so that nobody can see him. I was like, I like that touch. Like, that's a little attention to detail. And then there's a specific shot that I thought was really fun where he jumps into the car and he needs to speed away. It's a POV shot of, say, you in the back seat, and when he slams on the brake, the camera slams back with it. So it's like it looks and feels like you're getting that feel of the acceleration. And I was like, I actually had to rewind that because I was like, that was a quick shot. It's 2 seconds and you miss it. But I was like, that's cool. That's creative. I like when movies do the little things like that, you know. All in all, Chris, fantastic movie. And can't recommend it enough. I like it a lot. But I think I'll stick with a 4.5 to BH.
Yeah, I think I might
but definitely
go
one of my favorites this year. Yeah.
Real good. Well, that's all I got, Steve.
That's all I got, Christopher. If you guys watched the movie and enjoyed it, comment below. Let us know. And also give us some ideas of what we should do in the future, what movies we should review or shows we should watch and talk about. Bloody, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all the things. Click them, subscribe, and that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for listening. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.
You forget about things like stale.
Popcorn, stale popcorn.
Popcorn.
Pop.
This is the
Stale popcorn.
Popcorn.
Ah!